is we kind of wanted to explore and discuss the use of AI in WRO. And I know you're probably all well aware that AI is now crossing into so many areas of our life. And, you know, it's very topical in terms of it being a game changer in teaching and learning, and for future career opportunities. But we know as well that it does have, you know, a lot of ethical, societal, environmental and legal implications. And we know it will change how we interact with the planet and each other. And I suppose from our point of view, we know we need to be educated on it and how to kind of guide its development, particularly in a competition like the WRO. So just to give you a little bit of context around, you know, how we arrived here today and in relation to WRO. So 2 weeks ago, it was World Earth Day, and I did attend a couple of the events, and many of the discussions were around AI and how it will impact on, you know, environmental issues. And you'll be aware that the theme for WRO this year is Earth Allies. And that's where teams will learn more about humans affect nature and how nature and natural events can affect us. So the students within your countries will investigate how robots can help us live in harmony with nature. So that's kind of, there is an alignment on themes with World Earth Day and Earth Allies as part of WRO. And we really felt it was important to understand how AI can be used as part of as WRO in an ethical way. So we know that robotics and AI are different disciplines, but they've become very much interlinked and they complement each other in a variety of ways. So just before I came on line here, I just had a quick look at where it's being used at the moment. You're probably familiar with these already, but if you're not, this is where they seem to be kind of really aligning. So we see AI-powered surgical robots used in healthcare. AI and robotics are used in agriculture, and an example of this is where plants get the optimal level of sunshine, water and nutrients. And this is driven by AI and, you know, the demand for that. And then we see in transportation, where this has led to autonomous vehicles, traffic optimization and predictive maintenance. So again, going back to today, what we'd like to do is see how we can use AI in the WRO for this year and going forward. And we want to get an idea on, you know, I suppose your knowledge around it and how you have used it. So when we talk about AI, the WRO, we actually are talking about how it's used in the preparations by yourselves in the WRO, or how it's been used by the students so far, or potentially in the future in the research and ideation of WRO projects, and also in the design and building of the projects that they work on. And then the last thing then that I'd like to touch off today is how it might impact on the judging of WRO competition entries at a national level. So just to get the ball rolling, you know, I thought what we would do is just see if you had any thoughts, or if maybe you have any experience that you'd like to share about how you might have used AI to prepare or organize for the WRO so far. And if you haven't, that's fine. But if you have anything to share, that would be great. So who wants to start? So has anybody used AI? Vicky, have you kind of used it at all to organize and plan for at this stage?
Absolutely. I was actually very interested to hear what my colleagues have done in other countries. But in Zimbabwe, what we've done is have a focus on getting the educators up to speed on AI. And so, I'm excited to know that we're going to be using some Google platforms to do that, the AI Essentials course, as well as the Generative AI course by Google, which is great. It's a great resource of these students to have an appreciation of how to use and integrate AI ethically as well as responsibly, because at the end of the day, we want a purely authentic solution, but, leveraging technology to the best of its ability. So what we're doing this year is we are actually going to have some mini pre-training sessions on, things like IoT, AI included. And we just want to introduce, our participants to the possibility of them leveraging AI in their actual design as well as their final solution. So may not leverage a specific technology out of fear of the unknown. So if you don't know something and you're not really well conversant with it, you probably may want to, because you really haven't been given that opportunity to tinker around with it. So our approach is ensuring that the educators as well as the mentors that are going to be part of WRO are going to literally the Google courses, and then also have mini little training sessions for the participants to create simple things like chatbots and things like that that will allow them to, I guess, in the ideation process, think about how they could possibly integrate that. So it's us taking a proactive type of step to try to help and guide the ideation process and ensure that the mentors are also confident enough to kind of give some assistance where needed, as the WRO competitions unfold. So that's the approach that we're going to take for this year. But I'm pretty sure that by the time we get to next year, we will be seeing a completely different set of players coming onto the game using more advanced AI techniques. So starting at the bottom, and then hopefully we're going to escalate that and step up our efforts a bit more this year.
Okay, brilliant. That's great, Vicky. So really, in terms of organizing, preparing for the WRO, it's really about preparing the teachers and giving them the knowledge that they, empowering them with the knowledge around AI and being fully informed. Maybe I could bring somebody else in. Valentine, it'd be great if you had some input as well, or Mary or Solomon. Just feel free to come in. We're just only having a chat at this stage. So just in terms of maybe preparing the teachers, what CPD do you think we could be offering, to help you prepare the teachers? I don't know if anybody's there. Feel free to use the chat if you want. Solomon, I think you're trying to come in there.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your contributions, and I was inspired by what Vicky was sharing about introducing helping children to learn how to make chatbots. And so when it comes to teachers, this is a year where we are going to be also experimenting with AI. First is to how we shall pass it on to the learners by introducing and giving sources that help them to first let the children know what AI is. And we also plan to as well, when it comes to judging, I know at this scale we don't know much about how we can incorporate that in the judging of the project, but we are going to be looking at this, considering students who have students to try apply some little knowledge AI to their projects, to their robotic projects, as we keep on building on the data, as we keep on learning from the experiences from other countries, and also what the resources that you can share us to support as in, because now in Africa, and especially in AI education is below 5%. You would find that out of 30 teachers in a school, only one knows what AI is in full. So that gap is what we want to fill. And as part of the impact of WRO is going to, if we can have that as a resource, as part of what we are going to train the teachers, then it's going to be very influential and encouraging, and creating simple chatbots, creating simple projects which leverage on AI. Training children how to collect data during research is also part of the ways we can start the way of the journey of them learning AI, because AI is all about collecting data and then comparing. So we appreciate if you can provide for us any resources that we can tap into and share, and we can share with the teachers that they're preparing their learners. They at least know something about AI, because I know when they get a chance to compete at the world level, most countries, especially those in Europe and the continents, are very experienced in AI. So we also want our learners, by the time they come, they have some knowledge of what AI is and how it can be. And just Adreno Cloud is a very big boost. We managed to get support from Adreno Cloud for us here in Uganda, and we have started trying out to develop resources, to customize resources from that on how we can reach our learners. Trying out to make, like you said, internet things takes, and making them to use those sensors to collect data, and they can use AI to manipulate that data. That's going to be a very, very big. Thank you very much.
That's brilliant, Solomon. There's absolutely loads of ideas there. Thank you. So just so that I'm clear on it, so you're saying that a lot of the teachers so far don't know a huge amount about AI, so we might have to start quite, quite an introductory level in terms of AI. Did I get that right? Or
yes, actually, knowing what AI is.
Yeah.
So we have achieved a milestone of teachers knowing what coding is. So it's another journey for them to know now what AI is.
Yeah, that's exactly what we wanted to, get an understanding of, Solomon. So thank you so much. So I've made a note of all of those. So hopefully AI is the buzz right now. The teachers and students alike are open to learning more about it. That's from Valentine. And Valentine, I know your network might not be right, but would you have any suggestions that you could put into chat? Obviously, Solomon is saying that certainly, some more CPD around just knowing what AI actually is. And that's really kind of, that's the big one. It's understanding what it is, and maybe, what it can do, but what it can do in relation to WRO, I think is the thing. Would you have any suggestions? Please feel free to put them into chat on what other support and what support we can give you to kind of nurture this stage, because as Vicky rightly said, this time next year we potentially will be in a completely different situation. So it's just to make sure that we get these kind of foundational steps right. Mary, would you like to come in on that? I don't know if your Wi-Fi is okay.
Yes. I think I would love to contribute on the same. For Kenya, I would say it's not that bad. I think teachers, most of them, a good number are aware of what AI is. And probably the only challenge we might be having is how they can be able to accurately apply it when it comes to robotics without duplicating exactly what they are getting from AI. Because I think the main concern we want to do here, or the main thing we want to have here, is utilize AI as a technological advancement in our world today, but come up with authentic solutions. I think Vicky mentioned it. So we want to incorporate technology with AI, but have authentic solutions. So I think the only enlightenment we need to give to the teachers and even the students as they prepare for WRO is how they can apply the AI without duplicating exactly what the AI is giving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Can I jump in? Sorry, Linda. Can I just jump in, Margaret, just with a follow-up question? Why do you reckon that Kenya has been so good at just learning about AI or engaging with it? Is it, obviously I'm aware you're a very tech country, but is there any particular magic that's worked in that we could help others?
Pardon, I've not gotten your question.
Okay, my question is, you said that Kenya is already doing really well with AI, but not in the area of how to apply it. My question is, why has Kenya succeeded in being so good in learning about AI?
I tend to think there is, as you have said, there is a lot of technological advancement, and it has actively been received in Kenya to most of the organization. And you see, I think in the marketplace or in the organization base right now, we are having young people, most of them being involved in most of activities, and being even they have just come from school, they are in a position they are able to transform the industry to adopt to AI now that they are already knowledgeable about it. So even if there are other people or other generations in the market that are probably might not be aware of AI, the new coming generation is enabling them. Yeah, they are pushing them because of how their task using AI or the technological advantages or advancements.
Okay, thank you so much. I one quote out of that I'm definitely going to use for everyone, because what you said is the new generation is pushing them, and that's who we're working with in all of us in WRO, is the new generation, and that's where the push is going to come from. So thank you. That's
Yes,
a pretty clear, concise answer. Appreciate it. I think Valentine is
thank you.
in the chat there, Linda.
Yeah, Valentine has just come in and said, I believe when it comes to AI, we can guide them to use it as a research tool and an idea enhancer. For example, the students can brainstorm ideas, narrow down, then use AI to effectively bring it into life. So I think there's Ava coming in. You're very welcome, Ava. Mary, can I just go back to you and ask, can you give us any examples at this stage of where AI has been used so far in the WRO or by students for the WRO?
So far, I wouldn't say it has been used in WRO so far. But the only thing we've been trying to do is, as I said earlier, we don't want them to duplicate what the AI is giving them. We just want them to have an idea from the AI. So probably brainstorming, especially for the future engineers or future innovators categories, when they're coming up with their projects, it's a good platform where they can have an idea of probably a solution they're having in mind and they're not sure of how to bring it to life. Yeah, AI is coming in handy on the same. That is what we are trying to do right now, but we have not fully implemented AI in WRO, I wouldn't say.
Then for this year, because it's obviously running this year, would it be like, is it something that we could gather from the students how they think they could use AI, or even from their teachers, how they think it might work, and then maybe, get an understanding of where they are, because I think it's such a gray area, you know, using it and implementing it, and then ensuring that it's been implemented in a transparent way. And as you say, that what they're doing is authentic at the end of it. Maybe Vicky, Vicky, could I get you to come in here and just, have you seen projects as part of the WRO embed or use AI?
I think maybe last year, I did kind of have a look at some of the solutions at the international event, just to kind of see, you know, where we would be if we made it to the internationals. And yeah, I automated processes for some of the projects definitely did have some elements of AI in them. I think just I may not know the full design you know, structure of it, but I mean, just looking at the output, what was put out, you know, it would appear that there was a little bit of AI. And again, it goes back to being confident in using a specific technology for you to be able to know how to use it, and for you to be able to you know, present it in a manner that the judges won't also have, you know, qualms with it. And it goes back to the whole designing, ideating, creating solutions from a position of authenticity. Technology being the enabler rather than it literally, you know, taking over the creative process and as well as the design process. So yes, definitely, I think there was some there that may have had AI. But I think maybe just throwing this back to you, Linda, I'd like to know, I mean, as far as WRO is concerned on the issue of AI, do they have any guidelines that they have possibly provided with regards how much of AI can be used in a specific project? And I ask this because when it comes to the judging, I do foresee those that are more comfortable with using AI, using it to the fullest, and then those that are not as, you know, comfortable with AI, not having the same advantage. So at the end of the day, how do you judge, you know, a project objectively, if one has, you know, leveraged a certain technology way better than everybody else? And we do know with AI that quickly, you know, a project can take a life of its own, just by, you know, bringing AI into the mix. So, I mean, I would just like to know what WRO has to say about it. Do we have any guidelines? Is there a way in which we could be guided on how, you know, how much of AI really can be put into a solution?
It's a really good question, Vicky. I'm not sure is the answer.
My hand
sorry.
up. Sorry, Linda.
Go, Bernard.
Okay. So the answer, Vicky, is no.
Okay.
And that's why this conversation we're having here is so important. And I'll
Okay.
give you a little bit of background, and then I'll tie it in with another story. So WRO had a meeting of their board in Turkey last week for 3 days. One of the items on the agenda is AI in WRO, how they can use it to run WRO smarter, but also exactly the questions that you've been asking, because they're hugely aware of it. One of the talking to Karen, who obviously is the person who will be looking after this, they have a funding from Aramco for a role for one person whose brief is to look at this area. So the great thing from our point of view in this conversation is they are actually looking for help, guidance, research, experiences at the moment. And this will be going to Karen, this conversation we're having, because Karen is very open to listen to how this would impact. And that's why it's so important that we got this group, because other groups aren't connected enough, I think, to work together, because most are individual organizations in individual countries. So here we have a continent of Africa can have a voice of this. And just to fill you in on how important and how things can happen, I was going to say this at the end. Sometimes we have conversations like this and we don't realize the impact we can have globally. I was on a call last week with MIT, and it was the new team who put together the Octi app, which is actually the person who, while Mitch gets the credit for writing Scratch, you know, there's always a great woman behind the man. And in our conversation with Natalie, she outlined how the new app, they already have it in, I think, maybe 20 to 30 different languages. They already have a whole new range of sprites to try and look after every different group that is out there. Okay, look, so everyone looks at someone and sees someone like them. And she credited about 4 times on that call Solomon, who's on our call, and said, we would not have this app without Solomon. We would not have this app without Solomon pushing us and telling us we had to get this app. I came off a call one day that Solomon was on, and I turned to the team and I said, we have to do this. And we will bring them on to show the app because it's incredible, like what's available on that app. So what I'm saying is individual voices, and particularly group voice like we have here, can really have a big impact in how WRO will shape their AI from the experiences that we're just talking about here. Because people listen, people do listen to voices of people who are like sincere as we are here about this.
I also think, Vicky, you've touched on something really important there. So as Bernard says, there doesn't seem to be guidelines, but this is very much a transitional period, and it is where guidelines will be put in place and probably informed by these discussions, as you said. Are we saying that maybe there should be a system in place where teachers need to be transparent about the use of AI with their students, or the students' projects need to kind of be a little bit more transparent about how they've approached their project and how they've used it so that we can learn from that?
Definitely. I think because that's the reason why I asked the question is I do see a lot of finger pointing going on when results are being, announced to say, but no, 90% of the project is AI. So how is that fair? So I think definitely transparency, and also, I know when we do our local hackathons here, and this is just something we might think to use, we actually ask students to develop what we call is a design specification document. So when we do the judging, we are all looking essentially at the prototype and the solution. And what we want to know is, what did you put into it? How do the components interact with each other? And and then of course they go on to then produce also a user manual. So what should I do? Where do I press to turn this thing on? Et cetera, et cetera. What should it do? And I think that maybe it's an additional layer of them having to explain the actual design process and what's in the actual solution, because then it's easy to tell that way what has been put in and to what extent, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe that is just, I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, but that is how I would approach it if I were faced with such a scenario. I don't know what my colleagues think, but that's how I would go about it.
I think that idea of a design specification document is a brilliant idea. I wonder, has anybody else used something like that? Solomon, would you like to come in and maybe there's something you might want to add there? Or Mary, would you like to come in? I think we've the sound with Ava. Go ahead, Mary.
I think Vicky has explained it. If a project has used AI, they just come out clean and say to what extent they have used AI. That will make, I think, judging a bit easier. Mm-hmm. Yeah, to know the level of authenticity, because I am imagining a situation where we will have 2 innovative projects, say in future innovations, and one project probably 50% or 60% they have used AI, and we have another project that have used 20% AI. So with clear communication of how much they have applied AI, then that will mean we will have it easy for the judging process, because we'll be able to have a measure of how much they applied and how much authentic their projects are. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So I think be fine.
that's great, Mary. Thank you for that. Anybody else want to come in on that? Or do you agree that that's the way to do it? Is just make sure that students and teachers are transparent about their use, and explain, as Mary said, the authenticity of the project itself. I had another thought as well. Is there a way that we could get the students to critically think about other people's projects? So certainly at a national competition, a national level. So Vicky talks about a design specification document. I mean, is there an opportunity there for students to examine each other's design specification document and nearly like kind of find holes in it? It's nearly like a hackathon to kind of could that work? Again, Vicky, probably you have more experience in that. Is it something that could be introduced?
Definitely. So listen, I don't know how we're all going to roll out WRO in, our different countries, but I mean, the best approach for Zimbabwe would be to have some local qualifying hackathons, and then finally the winners of those hackathons come to the nationals. So that's how we're going to do it. So all of this, potentially, the way I see it play out, would be literal groundwork for the nationals. So essentially, we would do everything possible within the local qualifying hackathons to then bring in elements of, okay, this is a design specification document. This is what we expect you to do with it. We also, as you rightly mentioned, Linda, we'd like you to critique the work of others. Let's look at each other's design specification documents. What do you see? What are the differences? What stands out? What jumps out? So by the time we get to the nationals, obviously this will be within the purview of the judges to do it. It probably wouldn't be the students doing it, but everybody would be very clear of what the judging process is like. And I think also if we had any unscrupulous individuals at that point, they would now understand that there's a lot of rigor in terms of the judging process that is being applied. And I think that might work out really well. So I see everything playing out in the prep work before we get to the national event, being probably the best way to kind of curtail some of these issues that may become qualms in the future.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the importance of discussions like this, that this is you're representing your countries in terms of national coordinators. So if there is a good shape in place, as you say, Vicky, before you even get to the kind of the competition section, and due diligence is paid to things like transparency, authenticity, and and if students can be brought along as part of the, like in terms of critically thinking, and those skills are developed in the process, I think that's a really good one. I'd see, Ava, I know you can hear now. I don't know, would you like to come in on any of that? Anything you've heard? You're on mute at the moment. Worry, but please feel free to put your message in chat so we can just see and hear what you're thinking. Yeah, so Valentine likes that critiquing idea. Thanks for that. Yeah, I think that's something that could be really brought into it as part of the competition at the earlier stages, and develop those skills. Bernard, is there anything that you in particular would like to cover now at this stage? Just, we know, and Vicky has said that we will be introducing some CPD around AI. Maybe you would want to just have a little chat about that.
Yeah, in fact, I probably will turn to Vicky because of, she synopsized it quite well just before we began the recording. So I can hand that to you, Vicky, if that's okay. It's just to give an overview of where we can go. I do think that we can continue this chat anyway, because I think it's brilliant. I'm just looking at the few notes I've taken here, and I want to go back and listen to everything that has been said, because it's all practical. You know, every one of you are doing this and thinking about this. One other, just as an aside, I just want to ask this question. And you can put a hand up if you have the capability rather than just shouting an answer. How many of you are actually have got Google Workspace for Education at the moment? Or have any of you got Google Workspace for Education? And the only reason I'm asking that is because I became aware this morning, well, actually came aware the last time we were on a call, I couldn't record with Google Meet. And then I suddenly realized that actually it was to do with, even though we pay over €1,000 for Google Workshop, we have an access to recording on Google Meet. That's why I changed the Zoom. And then I've applied for Google Workspace for Education, and it's, you know, it's pretty much open to schools, or I think NGOs are on the list as well. So has anyone else actually applied for that? Okay, I'm taking that as a no. And the reason I'm saying that is I will now go back to Guillaume and say, you know, really one of the things we should be doing no more than the Arduino cloud is beginning to have that option, or a fast track for people who are involved and organizations like yourselves who are involved in WRO to have access to Google Workshop for Education, because it does give you a lot of additional options that can be used. Okay, and I think it's free, so therefore that's obviously important. Okay, so going back to the first part about the CPD, and now we won't be able to arrange this next week, but certainly over the next coming weeks, we will get someone from Google in to give us an overview. But I think, Vicky, you yourself have some really good ideas on this, and perhaps we will follow on even next week, Vicky, with you know,
Yeah.
some of the conversation we had about putting it in Google Classroom, or and also we may look at the time frame as regards what time works best for people. But back to you,
Okay.
Vicky. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, sure. No, thanks for letting us know. And it's always good because I've just been checking out the Google Workspace for Education that you're speaking about. So that's under the Google for Education platform. It is free, plenty of online resources for teachers and students, and I think that would be a great boost for us as well. And also you were mentioning you know, the possible use of Google Classroom as well, for us to be able to kind of put some of all this content that we're doing, the CPD and so on, and have that as a sort of repository for you know, national coordinators and anybody else that's involved with WRO, which I think is a brilliant move. So yeah, just looking at the two courses, which I think can pretty much be done in a short space of time, if we're looking at preparation for this year's WRO. So the Google AI Essentials has got about 5 modules, which are pretty good. And I think the most important one for me, which I'm actually looking forward to having a look at as well, is the art of prompt engineering. Now, I've always been speaking about utilizing AI to get the best out of it. And it literally has to do with how you query the AI for you to be able to get, you know, the most out of it. So that's a very useful skill. And also we've just been discussing using AI responsibly. So at least that's one of the modules that are there. It's going to take about 10 hours. To complete. And the beautiful thing is there's no previous experience needed with AI. So I know that Google is going to be handling that. So I don't know how we're going to do the whole 10-hour thing, but because it's self-paced, I imagine they probably will make an arrangement for that. And then, of course, speaking about generative AI, which is the other course, this one is a little shorter. It takes about 45 minutes to complete. So that fits, you know, square right into the time that we probably would have for a CPD. So it would be very exciting for us to kind of look into that one as well. And yeah, I think there's so many different courses there just as an offshoot that may really be pretty necessary, because one thing I've realized with, you know, bringing in young people into a space is they are so far ahead in terms of development. And it's interesting that there's actually a generative AI for developers course that is there. So who knows, this could really be an offshoot of a number of Google courses that we could use for the WRO. So yeah, from what I can see, it looks like it's going to be a pretty fun ride with AI. And yeah, let's see how this pans out.
That's
Thanks for that,
brilliant.
Vicky. Yeah, I think we're we're in a space where
Sure.
we'll work into, because the more knowledge all of you have as country coordinators, the more knowledge you can bring to the teachers. And then I think taking your theme there, Vicky, and then they can catch up with the students. But I think
Yeah.
and I think the disparity we have, from what Mark is being saying about Kenya, right across to where, the Solomon, his figures of, 5% of teachers means that, yeah, it's exciting. There's a lot of work to do. And I do overall think we can impact a lot on how WRO shapes and answers the questions you had, Vicky, as regards guidelines, how they're going to look at this from a point of view of assessment and evaluating projects, but also how it can. So let's engage with it. The more we can learn ourselves, the more we can actually help others. Back to you, Linda.
Yeah, so Vicky, I just have one more question on that. Have you come across kind of good resources in terms of addressing or understanding the ethical issues of using AI, and, just even to help teachers navigate around biases in data? I know they're buzzwords that are used kind of probably all of the time, and but be keenly aware of, I think, just if we're going down that road, that that it's considered, and certainly the students need to consider it. What guidance would you have on that for teachers in terms of CPD?
So definitely introduction to responsible AI. Again, lo and behold, it's actually a Google course. So that's something you would look into, because that looks at, the ethics around innovating. So it's one thing to say AI has given me this specific result and you go on to use it, but it's another thing when you are doing your ideation and subsequently your design to actually incorporate ethical principles. So those are two different things, and it's actually a thought process. Just explaining what responsible AI is very important. I could share some other links of some other courses that I've gone through, and some other resources that I have on that. But I mean, just looking at Google, there's the Introduction to Responsible AI one is just as good.
That's brilliant. That's great to know, Vicky. Thank you. I knew you'd have an answer. You have an answer for every question I have.
You're so welcome.
So would anybody else, I'm just conscious of time, is there anything else, is there any other kind of area around CPD that you might particularly like to have a better understanding of? Feel free to throw it into chat, or maybe Solomon, have you come across anything in particular that you'd like a better understanding of? Okay.
Thank you very much. Currently, I don't a lot has been mentioned. I'm just the writing end. I think Vicky is sharing very, very interesting information, and just that I'm also thinking here that now this year we were looking at to reach different communities, especially those communities that are cut off from the city. And then we are looking at the underlying issues like internet in those areas. And when we talk about organizing local, of course, Vicky's idea of local hackathon really stands out even for us. And now we are looking at how it's going to be favoring if we are going to have our judges to be really cool if they consider students having apply some AI in their projects. But then the students who may do that are those students who have access to internet, which is still a problem in some African countries. So I believe that this being the first year, we really need to promote AI, but also we need to find ways of how we can promote it equitably while ensuring that all the participants don't feel like they have been left behind. And I know this, we don't still, if we don't involve them, and if we don't help them to understand AI, when they go, they still feel left behind. So we really are looking forward now to learn more. And if Vicky here can continue sharing with us such resourceful information and guidance, we could achieve a lot during this time. So I'm also going to do some groundwork and research, and I'll be sharing maybe on the mail some best practices that for us, me and Valentine will come up with. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Solomon. That's very interesting, and it's good to know as well. So thank you for sharing that. And no doubt Vicky will share. She's very generous with her time and things that she has found. So I'm sure she will. Anybody else want to come in there on just some of the resources that they might like to see as part of the CPD offerings? Okay. We haven't heard from you, so if you feel free to unmute and come in at any point. Okay. So all right. Well, look, we're on the mail, and you know, feel free to mail us with any suggestions that might come into your mind after this session. Bernard, I'm just looking at the time now. We're just up. So have you any parting notes that you like to share?
Just want to thank everyone for your time. We always appreciate your time. We don't take it for granted. We know you have extremely busy days, and to take an hour out for here is brilliant. Also, thank you for the sharing of, you know, openly sharing your ideas and the areas we can work on. I work forward on the Google workshop for education and the Google Classroom with Guillaume, and see how we can access. And also we'll come back to you as regards the details of, I think it'll be an overview to answer your question, Vicky. What they're talking was giving an overview of the AI program with the 5 modules, the AI Essentials. And so we'll work that in. What we might actually send is a menu, which we've discussed with Vicky in relation to some CPD over the next few weeks and months, where, you know, you could prioritize what might work best for you. And that will give us a better understanding of how we move forward. But I do think we probably could spend the rest of the year on AI, because every week we learn, there seems to be more to learn. And as I said, if we learn and you learn, then, and that's all of us learn, then the teachers will learn, because you have such an important role in each country, and then the students will learn. And then to go back to that earlier quote, which was where am I going back to, about the students pushing, sorry, your quote, Margaret, the new generation is pushing them, and that's what we actually want, that the new generation we're working with will push things forward everywhere. So thank you so much, really appreciate your time, and we'll send out the video.
Thank you so much, and lovely to meet everybody. Take care.
Okay. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you all. Well done, Linda. You really...
We'll jump off, Bernard, because this is recorded, so I'll set up a new one.